So we're so excited to welcome this next guest to the Rail Talk studio. He's the marketing manager for America's Best Racing, one of my favorite Twitter follows at Anonymous, man. Dan Tordjman, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Great to see you. I'm thrilled to be on.
Oh, so glad to have you. You know, we've known each other a little bit through the Twitter spheres over time, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit more through the West Point ABR partnership. But we wanted to have you on this show, not only because you're a great dude, but because I think you're one of the foremost experts of marketing horse racing. And that's something we talk about a lot on this show. We talk about it kind of in generalities. You and America's Best Racing are on the forefront, on the front lines of trying to market the sport, trying to bring new people into the game. So I guess my first question is just a general question. Over your years at ABR, has there been themes that you found that work, that don't work? Like, what are just some of the general takeaways you've gotten from that experience?
Yeah, it's a great question to start with. I mean, because we as ABR have evolved over the past decade plus, and it's crazy that it's been this long. And we're very proud of the fact that we've not only lasted this long, but we've grown year after year, and we've had to evolve. I think initially, for anyone who remembers, it was a group of early 20-something kids on an RV, kind of traveling from track to track and trying to literally like hand out tickets for people to come to the racetrack. A cool concept and, fun and attention grabbing, but I think we've become a lot more strategic with the way we do our marketing. We really have leaned into the power of digital media and social media marketing. And, we sit here now, over a decade later with 400,000 plus people who follow us on social media across our channels, which is a number that's very important to us because we know for the audience we're trying to reach, and that's the next generation of racing fan and bettor and participant, that's where we can reach them on social media, and namely like emerging social media platforms like Instagram, like TikTok. And I think at this very moment, we're one of the very few people, one of the very few groups in racing who are actively doing that. And so, the balance for us and kind of learnings and key takeaways to answer your question is that we realized that, we at some point we're going to miss the existing racing fan, and we just have to live with that. We want to market constantly to the current fan because we do create a lot of good content for them, and we know we can, but we also have to utilize and kind of spend some of that energy reaching new audience. And so kind of coming to grips with that and knowing that, hey, some people might not know about everything we're doing, but that's by design because we're not marketing to existing fans as much as some people might like us to do.
Right. And with all the different current campaigns and programs that you guys have in place, and they're voluminous. I mean, it's great as far as what you're promoting. You've gone, like you said, you've gone from guerrilla marketing to digital media marketing. Is there one program specifically that's like your baby you love and you really feel like is making the biggest impact on potential new audience members?
So, even within the past couple of years, I think my answer would have changed from year to year. Now, if you asked me in 2021, 2022, I would have said our live streaming. Our live streaming is something that really grew out of the pandemic. We had already started experimenting with it because we realized that we could show up in people's timelines and, when they were on YouTube and we could actually, target streams to certain audiences. We thought that was a great opportunity to take people to the track, give them behind the scenes access, and show them the world of racing, whether they were an existing fan and couldn't get there, or they were a person who didn't know about it, who might click on it and say, wow, that looks actually pretty cool. I'd like to do that. So I think if you would ask me like a year and a half ago, I would have said that. But a lot of times now we find when people see us in those spaces, I think they're looking for something more. And for us, it started to feel a little stale. So we're like, how do we innovate? How do we change? So we developed this program that you alluded to a little bit earlier, which is the Stake and Stardom program. And that really speaks to our influencer program. We've been doing influencer marketing pretty much since our inception. But what that means is that we work with people who are not currently in racing and have a very large following and dedicated audiences. And we bring them to the races and we have them share that experience with their audience. And we find we get more bang for our buck that way. We have, annually, we kind of reach, last year, I think we were over 6.5 million video views on the channels of influencers, reaching people who are not currently racing fans. And the program that we're, I think, proudest of at the moment is the Stake and Stardom program, which won an award last year. in terms of it being an innovative influencer campaign. We work with ownership groups, West Point Thoroughbreds, I think being the most is sort of well known of the groups, and they give an ownership share to influencers and sort of a range of celebrities that we work with, so that they can share the journey of and the experience of horse ownership with their audience, which is a completely different thing than, hey, watch me go to the races and have a cocktail, right? So we really are trying to tap into various interest groups. And some of the people we've worked with over the past couple of years include Ian Rappaport, who I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with, Lindsay Zarniak, another sports journalist, and Joy Taylor as well out in California. So we've kind of tried strategically to find influencers in various parts of the country with different kinds of audiences who might be, in some ways interested in exploring racing a bit more by seeing some of their favorite personalities posting about, hey, this is what it's like to own a racehorse. How cool is this?
Yeah. Well, and I think to me, the challenge is the next step after that, because I think it's great to have people hooked in and, have influencers show the beauty and the excitement of the sport that we all intrinsically get. But if someone does see that and they're interested and intrigued, like, what would you want their next step to be? To reach out to you, to reach out to the influencers? Like, where do you think you go from there?
Yeah, look, I think when it comes to marketing and racing, we're fighting two battles, and they're each on their own separate track, no pun intended. And the one is marketing within the sport, and then there's the marketing outside the sport. So when it comes to marketing outside the sport, I'm thinking of a lot of the content we post to TikTok and Instagram, which is really just fun, whimsical content that we know will show up for people who are not currently fans. Some of the articles that we write, and we try to, direct to people who are not already racing fans. And then when I think of within racing, I think there's a lot of work to be done there. And I think that's where we stand to benefit the most, by creating more partnerships. And we want to work with everyone. We currently have dozens of partnerships with racetracks, with organizations, including the NTRA, which, I'm currently here in South Florida covering the Eclipse Awards. We have a partnership with First Racing. We're going to be at the Pegasus World Cup this weekend, really kind of producing dynamic media to a range of audiences. And so we want more partners like them. So if anyone's watching this within the industry, yes, you could reach out to me, Dan Tordjman at America's Best Racing. I'll share my, Anonymous Man actually on Twitter is probably the best way to reach me, the quickest way to get a response. But you can certainly contact the show, and I'm happy to share my cell phone number, whatever. Reach out to me. I want to hear from you. And I think the way our social media channels are set up, for people who are new to the sport, there are very easy access points to contact us and reach us for more information, and to become more active in the sport. But yeah, my big call out here is to anyone within racing who feels like, hey, you've got something that's unique and cool that would be attractive to a new fan or a new bettor. Reach out to me. Absolutely, we'd love to work with you.
Gotcha. No, that's great. And Dan, we'll put all your contact information below, so that way our fans and listeners can get in touch with you and pepper you with ideas as well. How do you guys measure your success? Is it annual goals or specific targets? Because I would think that marketing is kind of nebulous and it's tough to quantify. So how do you guys sit down every year or sit down every quarter and say we're successful because of blank?
Yeah, in terms of our digital media and social media, sort of goals that we set every year, we look to outdo the previous year. One challenge that we've run into in the past couple of years is that, and I don't know how many people watching know this, but we are entirely funded by the Jockey Club, and we do not have a traditional business model. So we do not generate revenue by selling a specific product or service, right? So the Jockey Club is funding us because they believe in the work, because it believes in the work that we do. Now, one issue that we run into is that, coming out of COVID, obviously everyone's budget got tighter across racing. And so what that meant for us, in practical terms, is that a lot of the stuff we created, we were not able to put money behind in paid media. So we could put it out and hope that people would see it organically and say, hey, that's great. Like, look what ABR did here, or look at this cool horse racing thing. But we weren't able to utilize some of the tools we have and that we've developed over the years to reach new audience as effectively with paid media. And look, money talks, right? Like, you look at the budgets other industries to put into advertising and paid media. And it obviously dwarfs ours, by tens of billions of dollars. So we're not even in the same range. What we'd like to do, and what we've actually reached out to several industry participants to join us in, is a national marketing program in which we can pool resources, create the content, which we're already creating, and we can sort of customize it, per the needs of each geographical market or each particular racetrack or whatever it might be. And then we put that money into strategic paid campaigns throughout the country. And now we're getting somewhere. So I think, what I'm saying in short here is that we have reached a point where we're reaching about as many people as we can reach organically. Mm-hmm. And the next frontier for us, where we'd like to get, is doubling and tripling our reach, the number of video views we get, the engagements we get on our posts, by investing in paid media. So that's something we'd like to do in terms of setting, kind of raising the bar as we move forward.
No doubt. I mean, marketing is one step of it too. And I think the other step of it, and I mentioned in the beginning, is managing and confronting public perception. Because let's be real, racing doesn't always have a great public perception amongst the general public. Like we saw the 60 Minutes piece. Like there's a lot of negative kind of attack. I'm not going to say attacks, but negative press out there for us as an industry. Is that something that you've confronted along the way in doing these marketing campaigns? Like, and if so, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, I think that there is a ton of work to be done on that front. We approach everything we do with the idea that we ourselves as a unit at ABR, 10 people, can't respond to all those questions. And what our primary goal is to market. We see a distinction between marketing and PR, and we do think that there is a PR void, and we would love to see one unified PR voice in racing. And we also, would like to make the distinction that, although we understand that, there are a lot of people who come to me even, and they say, why aren't you coming out and saying something? I'm like, I don't want to jumble this any more than it is, right? The last thing racing needs is another voice, throwing out, a proposed solution as they, lay in bed at night on their Twitter account, right? So while all that is good and ideas and debate and public debate on social media platforms is great for all of us who care about it, we all want to participate in those conversations. But in terms of what we project out, we do need to focus on a unified public relations campaign and getting one voice who can speak and who can speak to a broad audience, not just to people in racing. So I think that's where I'm personally at it. I think, I could say America's Best Racing is there. We want to focus on marketing. We want to engage with that next generation of fan. If the PR is there, our job is a lot easier. If clear messaging is out there, and if we're disrupting some of the myths that are out there, our job becomes a lot easier. So we could use some help in that sense. And I really do wish we can come together. And I think that there's probably more momentum now than there's ever been for there to be sort of one unified voice as it relates to us doing PR as an entity and as a sport.
Right. No, excellent. That's a great point. All right, Dan, you're czar of racing for a day. I won't say commissioner because apparently there's already been a self-proclaimed commissioner. So you're czar for the day. What problem do you attack first, and how do we solve it?
My biggest focus at the moment is diversity. I think that we have been speaking to the same people for generations now, and we continue to market to them. We continue to try to bring them in as new owners, as participants, across every spectrum of the sport. And so for me, I think, and it's reflected, I think, in a lot of the media that we do, we need to, sort of representation is a key thing for me. And so I think we need to bring people from different backgrounds, ethnicities, race. We need to showcase and tell the stories of women in the sport better. We need to bring more women into the sport. We need to cross over into the broader equestrian world and kind of break down some of those barriers that are there and some of the fears folks in that world have about horse racing. And we really just need to to bring more people into the fold. You look at our sport, you go to a race on any given day, the people attending look fairly similar. The people who are in the winner's circle look pretty much the same. Why is that? I mean, are there no Black women who are interested in owning racehorses? Are there no, Asian men who want to come out to the track? Like what's going on? Like, clearly we're just not speaking to people. And I'd like to see, I think, as you bring more people into the fold and you let them know that there's a place for them in this sport, I think everything grows. You start to see handle grow. You start to see, different people in the winner's circle and in the paddock and that sort of thing. So for me, diversity is a massive issue. And I think, we've gotten to the point where we've just become used to talking to the same people and seeing the same people. So we've forgotten that that's an issue at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's crucial. And it's still a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like diversity has become a bad word in the culture wars recently. But if there's one sport that I think we could all agree needs it, it's horse racing. Maybe that and golf. Those are the two sports I would think of. Yeah.
And it's, and I know there are a lot of people I think about, who'll probably watch this on racing Twitter and be like, oh, look at this idiot. If you could do one thing, diversity is his issue. And all I could say is that, if you listen to the point I made about, the end goal being, raising handle, bringing more owners into the sport, bringing more people who want to participate in the sport. At the end of the day, we're just growing the pool of people that are in this. And that's a good thing. You can't just solve, sort of an end issue. You've got to work on sort of the bigger issue. And so that's kind of where I'm going with it. But believe me, I'd love to see lower takeout. I'd love to see all these things. And I came to this sport as a gambler first and foremost. I am still a bettor and I love betting on horse racing. Some people don't like me for this. That's my favorite part. I love being at the track and firing. That's what I love doing. I love the horses. I love the stories, but I love firing. I love hitting a ticket. So, believe me, to the bettors out there, I see it. I feel it. I'm impacted by it, and I want those things to get better for all of us. But I do think, sort of, on a larger level, there are issues that would just naturally help in kind of resolving some of the issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Well, hope to hang with you at the track soon. We'll put together a pick 5 or pick 4 ticket. But in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. We need big picture people like you and America's Best Racing to help solve some of these larger problems that racing has. Dan Tordjman, thank you so much for coming on the show, my man.
I appreciate both of you. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.